I gave the first solution. I'm going to give the second one after every speaker in the Q&A. I'm going to give a solution to ensure that we're not just up here talking. We're giving real serious responses and answers to what we need to do. The first solution I gave was we got to learn about the 6 pillars of empowerment: spirituality, right, culture, education, economics, socioeconomics, and politics. I'm going to post as I get a chance. We'll be breaking for lunch in about 30 minutes. I'll post it during the lunch break. The show that Brother Craig and I did explaining the 6 pillars, because we all need to understand that. That's the first solution. The second solution is learning, and this goes to, I'm not sure if you guys can get the question, those of you who are watching live, the question that Brother Jeff asked, and the question that Sister Stacey asked. All of this goes back to us understanding grassroots politics. If we're, like Brother Marcus Garvey said, if we're the majority in a space, we need to be running that space. Cesar Chavez, excellent organizer, didn't organize to run the space that was predominantly run. Martin Luther King, excellent orator, didn't organize Black people when they were the majority. Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Harriet Tubman, you can name any Black or brown person, I don't care what they look like, or any white person. Didn't organize when they were the majority. What we're saying is that we got to understand grassroots politics and organize the majority in the local spaces where we're the majority. Because if we can do that, we can put buffers in place to prevent this federal stuff that's coming down from hitting the people on the ground. But that's never going to happen if we don't take time to understand local grassroots politics. That's the second solution. Take time to understand local grassroots politics and then join us. Go to our website, grow4care, GROW4care.org. Send us a message from our contact page saying you want to join us, and I will plug you in starting next week. So we got people right now that are running for office and preparing to run for office. We got a brother in the room right now who's going to run for city council. Without revealing the big picture, we believe that in 8 years, we can run this city. Why? Because there are more grassroots in the city than people with money. But if we don't organize the grassroots, guess what we're going to run? Nothing. Zero. But the beauty of it is that it's wide open. We got to go take it. Ain't nobody going to give it to us. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker real quick, then we're going to break for lunch. Sister, not Regina, I can get in there. You know, like it's all right. Deirdre Dickson is a phenomenal woman. Amen. Phenomenal woman with a phenomenal story. She was born and raised in Houston, Texas, the only daughter of Novella Hayes Dickson. At an early age, she was exposed to the arts and desired to emulate those who dominated the center stage. Her mother was a key influence in her life. As a community activist, she exposed Deirdre to the many facets of living a successful life as a public servant. Combine that with Deirdre's mastery of writing books, plays, and songs, and you have the makings of a 21st century Renaissance woman. In 2007, Deirdre released her first book entitled, quote, "Can I Just Have a Little Bit? Question mark. A little bit of what? Exclamation point. End quote. She's an avid speaker for groups such as book clubs, churches, and professional civic and community organizations. She's been featured in Save magazine, along with other powerful women in ministry such as George Myers. Deirdre debuted her first stage play, quote, "What a Man, What a Man," end quote. Produced, written, and directed by acclaimed gospel artist Mona Moore. The first love of her life, her daughter Jocelyn, is the inspiration for her latest memoir, quote, "Mama, help me please," end quote. It is a touching story recounting her 22-year fight for her daughter's right to life. In honor of her deceased daughter, she has become an advocate for families and children who have CHARGE, CHARGE syndrome, and those who have experienced medical negligence. She is the founder of the Jocelyn Dixon Foundation and the national director of the National Medical Malpractice Advocacy Association. Deirdre is married to Kurt Gilbert and has a son, Cameron Gilbert. With that, we're going to welcome Sister Deirdre Dickson up to give her position on this next department. Thank you guys very much. All right, give a round of applause, please.
And by the way, he read the wrong bio, but that's
My bad.
That's okay. Hi, I'm Deirdre Gilbert, and we're not playing checkers. We're playing chess. So he mentioned that I ran for governor, and he made a statement He don't understand why I went that far away. I ran on the local level as well. But if you don't try, you won't know whether or not you can achieve. I ran for a reason, and I ran to make a statement, to make a change, because there was something that was going on within our political system that no one else was looking at. So we've been talking about all of this stuff that's going on, this Project 2025. And I didn't know anything about the word Project 2025. So I said, let me look and see what this is. Tamani sent it to me. Immediately I called him and I said, that's ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. If you've never heard of it, then you need to go find out what it's all about. I'm going to be talking to you about some certain things because I want you to get this. We've been talking about Trump, Democratic Party, all this stuff. And I'm getting ready to ask you a question. Is Trump actually the enemy or is he the answer? When I get through talking to you, I want you to kind of think about this a little bit. And I'm not a Trump fan at all. Just like he said, he's crazy as all outdoors. They knew he was crazy. They knew what he was all about. But that's what they wanted. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the Health and Human Services. And why am I talking about that? What do I know? Well, in 2011, my daughter died from medical malpractice. And tort reform in the state of Texas is what drew me to figuring out what is going on underneath the covers. So the purpose of HHS, or your Health and Human Services, they said it's supposed to protect life, your conscience, bodily integrity, empower patient choices, provider autonomy, promoting stable and flourishing married families, preparing for the next health emergency, instituting greater transparency, accountability, and oversight. And my question or my answer to you is that a bunch of mess. That is a total lie. It's none of that. Matter of fact, I don't have any teeth. It's saying what it's supposed to do, but it's not doing any of that. The purpose is we really need to know how something works. This agency and all the other agencies that you're looking on that piece of paper, you're trying to figure them out, all are in what I call structural chaos. They all have unchecked power, every last one of them. Now, how will that change the department? What's the plan? What's the next step? What are you gonna do in this chess game? To understand the premise of this so-called project, one must first understand where it came from. As before, I had no idea about 2025, Project 2025. But this is what I found out. Project 2025 is nothing more than a closeted training manual called Despoiling of America that reveals how the right wing in American politics can get and keep power. It was created under the tutelage of a man called Paul Weyrich, the man who co-founded the American Legislative Exchange Council, better known as ALEC. The same man who founded the Heritage Foundation, who created Project 2025. So they're one in the same. ALEC provides a forum for our state legislators and private sector members who collaborate on model bills. They draft legislation that members may customize and introduce for debate in their own state legislatures. They're not changing the department. They are the department. The deception is in their plan. In Texas alone, we have 66 members who are sitting in our legislative body who belong to ALEC. Greg Abbott is called the darling of ALEC. So just gather all of these organizations that you're looking at. There's a member of a task force. ALEC has their task force, the same one you see. And so does each state. If you just go online and then go to alecexposed.org, you will see who's heading these organizations, no more than the plaintiff. ALEC stated that the objective of the conservative constitutional movement was to really be largely out of the public view. Now, how they were going to be successful was to rewrite the Constitution. The U.S. will then become the conservative nation that ALEC had been working towards. Now, just think about that. I gave you a sheet of paper, and I gave you where I got this information from. So how is this changing the lives of the Black people, grassroots? Well, Paul Rorick, Despoiling of America, explains a strategic plan on how to gain the government of the U.S. They have 4 what they call immoral principles of the movement, which they call the dominionist movement. We are getting ready to control you. This didn't happen last week. This didn't happen 2 days ago. This has been going on for a very, very long time. The first immoral principle that he said was number 1. Falsehoods are not only acceptable, it's a necessity. The masses will accept any lie if it is spoken with vigor, energy, and dedication. All of this stuff that they're doing on this TV, all of this corruption and all of this conversation, all of this fighting that you're seeing is purposely done because they want you to fight with each other. This is the plan. The second thing he says to do, it is necessary to be cast under the cloak of goodness, whereas all opponents and their ideas must be cast as evil. Complete destruction of every opponent must be accomplished through unrelenting personal attacks. The creation of the appearance of overwhelming power and brutality is necessary in order to destroy the will of the opponent to launch opposition of any kind. These people are saying that their strategy is to win. They don't care at what cost. What you see is not what they want you to see. They want you to think just what you think. But you got to look a little bit deeper than where you are. These people are saying that they are going to, their first strategy is we're going to develop highly motivated elite to coordinate future activities. They're devoted to developing of institutions. The quickness is that they're not coming in to dismantle your institution. They're saying they're coming to recreate a new one. So while you're thinking that they're getting ready to dismantle you, they're saying, that takes too much of my time. I'm getting ready to recreate another entity. So you're seeing it already. Adam just said he's getting ready to do the stock exchange. They're putting it right into your face. This man wrote this playbook in 1973. I gave you the page. I gave it to you on a piece of paper. Go look at it. The plan is already there. All of the strategies that you see, all of this stuff that he's saying that he's going to do about the schools and all of this stuff, is already in action. Abortion, all of this stuff that you think you're talking about, what they're getting ready to do, they already started. They are working while we're fighting. That's the plan. The plan is to, they're saying, we will use guerrilla tactics to undermine the legitimacy of the dominant
Finger of the nose.
That's the plan. Guerrilla tactics.
No, it's the finger in the nose.
When they came out with,
That would make no sense.
like you said, programs with all of these marches, you just gotta.
Yeah. I totally hit that.
Yeah, obviously. What? You can't do that. You're talking
Wait,
about
what's
the
that show you watch,
About
the white people with the woman in the coats,
It's a written.
shut the fuck up, be pretty, be nice, speak nice, be quiet and be nice.
It's not.
No, it was a documentary about some, religious cult, it was,
They're just doing.
something about,
whatever they can.
the essence of it was,
There's something that I put here at the end.
be pretty and be nice,
And
something
it
like
said-
that. I'll find it.
If it is the rejection of the existing society.
No.
Will thus be accomplished
I can't use my computer because I'm recording, but I'll find it.
and pulling them simultaneously.
Just so I have.
They will use guerrilla
They
tactics
stay
to
sweet,
undermine the legitimacy
and-
of the dominant regime.
stay
They
sweet,
are
be nice,
creating
stay sweet.
countervailing force that would
No, it
intimidate
was more to
people
it than that.
such as your
Stay
Hollywood
sweet.
celebrities. All of these people counting up. They're coming at you. Corporations, university administrators. You see them, and then they push them down. They said that they must be feared so that they would think twice before opening up their mouths. I didn't write this playbook. This man wrote this playbook. This is what he's saying. He said, if it's not possible for them to take over the grand power in every institution, they will create a parallel world. So the left is separated from the right, and conservatives are urged to purchase from the conservative institutions. They will not only do that, but they will use the church to mimic what Jesus said he would do in the Bible. When these people seek to privatize Medicare, Social Security, deregulate corporate controls on whole industries, the poor and the needy become poorer and needier, and they have done it to the Lord. I am saying to you, this is what he says, mimic.
Pray and obey. Go ahead.
Those on the Lord's staff will be cast into our darkness. Those on the
About-
Lord's right
about
will be the chosen elect,
Warren
the
Jeffs,
overcomers of God's people. The
Warren Jeffs.
biblical imagery appears to be powerful biblical affirmation for churchgoers who desire to be on the Lord's right politically as well, until one realizes that when the two groups of people stand faces, the Lord mirror image is reversed. Those on the right will be those facing him on the left. Those on the left will be those facing him on the right. It's just as a side, but it suggests to me that justice will actually be done when the Lord says, I never knew you, to those who loudly proclaim their hypocritical religious devotion to him. This man wrote a plan book. He even quoted that. How many of our Christians what I call the goo-goo syndrome? Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. He says elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of the country, and they are not now. He says, as a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections quite tangibly goes up as the voting populace goes down. So I look at Trump. They say Trump is getting ready to dismantle this. Trump ain't dismantling anything. The people who are sitting over here are already a part of the issue. Trump is just being used as whatever you want to be used as. Because he's not getting ready to do anything. Because if they lose, they want you to get out and vote now. Because Trump has become a troublemaker. Trump is the one who revealed that he wants to dismantle this mess up, and he's telling you that these people ain't no good, but y'all not listening because you're listening and thinking, oh, Trump, I'm not a Trump fan. But Trump is not going to dismantle. If you get Trump out of position, guess what? All of those things that are in place will remain. Is there? If he loses, they're going to put more structural issues in law. They're going to create and rewrite the bill. Every time you move, we go in the alley and we're going to create those bills. They have a bill for everything that we're already doing. Nothing you do is changing. So you gotta go local. You definitely do. You gotta get those people out of there and you gotta expose. They don't want them to know that you are part of alley. Some of our Democrats were alley members, but when they found out, they got out. What am I saying to you? Is Trump really the enemy? Or is he really the answer? I really want you to, I put where you can go look and read for yourself. Because I had to find that out, because like I said, I didn't know all about that piece. But when I ran for governor, that was one of the most educational pieces for me of learning how truly the system really works. I was a Democrat. The Democratic Party didn't want a Black female running for governor. I was one of the 8 Black females who ran for governor across the states. Nobody in this room knew that. Not one of us got on the ballot. None of us. In 8 different states. They didn't want us, and you weren't getting on there. And they didn't care how they did it. Because this game is not about anything other than power and money. The truth, the healing, the change that you're looking for is not going to happen if you don't figure out the independent party. I switched on in the middle of the street 2 days before the primaries, or before we had to fill out our paperwork. I switched to independent party because they were already strategizing. We gonna put some fake people in the race. We got Beto and we got Ann. She's not gonna be in there because first of all, they already knew that the Black vote has power. It's a Black woman running for governor. Oh yeah, she can make it. But that's not what they did. I got independent. I figured out how I can get to the general election. Went straight to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has the law change. Said, hey, you can't stop her from getting on this ballot. But they stopped me anyway. Because Greg Abbott had appointed everybody, all them judges. And every last one of them judges were Abbott members. So how am I getting past things? Wait. Never. So independent, I became. I became an independent candidate. And then guess what they went and done? They said, this girl has figured out how to manipulate this system here. Not because I just figured it out. You wrote the law. I just used what you wrote. And they went and changed it. So, Democratic Party don't have a plan book. And I just asked, this stuff been out for a long time. This man had a plan book. Please don't tell me Democratic Party didn't know that they didn't have a plan book. If you know this, right, then why haven't they created something to counteract it? You know they're getting ready to shut down the schools. You know that they getting ready to keep you off free food. What's your plan? Other than taking a picture, see, oh, you see how I just won an award last week. That's it. You have a plan book. I'm telling you, go read this man's plan. And then you go find how can you use his plan, because this man said he used the grassroots, small donations. Who's doing that now? Democratic Party. But they're not using it to do what? They're not using it to further the kingdom, to make it right. They're using it for their own self-aggrandizement. For them. They're not trying to help you. They know what's going on. And when she said about Abbott, I can't stand that. But at least he's trying to hold up this border. Because I'm going to tell you about your little Mr. Beto. Beto's mom was responsible for bringing some of them over to work in her furniture store. She was arrested. Criminal. So is he. But you looked at it and said, oh, he's not great white. No, he wasn't. He was theirs. He's a fundraiser. And that's what they need, a fundraiser. So I'm saying that if this man wrote a plan book, use his plan book, and do the same thing. When they move, you said checkers. You make a move. We talk too much. We tell our people don't even move. So they go in, they move, they doing this, and we still trying to, no. They never did know where I was coming from. Every time I turn around, they was like, this woman, they call it a black woman. They didn't know. They think we don't have enough sense to be able to mobilize. They're calling us monkeys. They don't care. There's some good and there are some bad on both sides of the fence. And we gotta get out of the Republican and Democrat, and we gotta find who's gonna do this work.
Right.
God is calling us to do some work out here that we can't be afraid to speak up.
That's it.
We scared. Somebody was supposed to be speaking today. She got scared and ran on off.
You beat me to it.
I'm just saying.
Come on.
Because she was under the Democratic Party, and I'm just telling you the truth.
Come on.
And she didn't want them to see her talking in here about this subject, because guess what? When she run next year, she ain't gonna make it, because they ain't gonna vote for her. When you start speaking against them, they will come after you. Just look at the Democratic Party and tear their own people up. Sean Theory, because she didn't want to vote for a nasty book to be on the shelf in the library. So us, we want to keep it up in there. So guess what they did too? They took your libraries out of school. Where you gonna go now with Drag Queen Day? Cause you ain't got no library. And it was simple for you to say, I don't want my children looking at this still doing school days. I don't even want to look at it.
Right.
We talking about some stupid silliness, as she said, when they are out here, these people not playing with you.
They're not playing.
And they don't care. And I just told you, they using guerrilla tactics.
Come on.
They gonna do, and they gonna wear us out. You wake up, you better wake up, and it ain't this woke stuff that they talking about now, it ain't that. But you better wake up and speak up and not be afraid to say what you need to say. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make a comment. So
Make sure.
in doing the research for the education projects that I do, I found out in the history, the Democratic Party factions that came out of the 60s, you know, like the hippies and the people who burned the bras and things of that, and they were protesting the Vietnam War, right? That whole group and the conservatives under Nixon and then later Reagan, they have been in this conflict for a very long time. Like she said, it's been going on for a long time. And there was a time when the ALEC folks, the Heritage Foundation, had a plan for African Americans. And a part of that experiment happened right here in Houston. It happened with in Acres Homes with Thaddeus Lott in Wesley Elementary when they was first trying to do the pilot programs for the very first charter school. So that's where they did that charter school, and that's where we found that specific program of direct instruction, teaching phonological awareness and stuff for kids. But see, they wanted everything to be very structured. That's their whole thing. They, like what she said, guerrilla warfare and army tactics and stuff, they into that, right? So that was the type of education plan that they had. And they saw that it worked and it was successful. So then the Democrats railed against that and was like, no. And then they started, they spin. And so they have been really giving these people a hard time. And now that it's gotten down to the point about the reading of those ugly books in the schools and stuff, they just done. They are done. And that's why they don't care no more. They don't care. And they're coming after them. They are coming.
Foundation that you have to understand that it's not. It is ALEC. The man who founded ALEC is the founder of the Heritage Foundation. So he walked in your school.
That's right.
And asked you what you gonna do. And you gave him your instructions. You told him what your plans were. These people are playing. These people have been in everybody. They've been in the Bush administration, the Clinton administration, George W. Bush, Obama administration, Trump,
correct.
And Biden administration. Matter of fact, they said Trump's administration, Biden just hired somebody, a Republican person, to run his thing. So, and the Heritage Foundation is using their staff members to put into our own. These people are infiltrated in everything. These people ain't playing. Everywhere. So they are within, they are planting these people. They're saying, we're gonna give you the help. We know y'all need. And they're putting them right there to get exactly what you're getting ready to do. And they coming back because they all are one and the same. Yes, sir.
So before I ask my question, does anybody have a question for Deirdre before I ask? Anybody else? Oh, but she killed it. She, when she was talking, I'm like, damn, she sound like a female crazy. You think you're gonna do, baby? You need to watch it, because she killed it. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, my name is Ken Burton. Nice to meet you all. As a 2021 Heritage Foundation Fellow, I've seen the work that they've done in their communities to advance their causes and how they've become part of the fabric of the parties that they support. They've become the fabric of the parties that they support. What would you say would be a proper answer for the Heritage Foundation for our community that can advance our causes? Additionally, how do you see that being separate and more impactful than, say, the Congressional Black Caucus?
Well, I'm gonna say, like she said, there is some good and some bad legislation. We have to figure out how to work together. Whether we're black, white, or whatever. I know we're pushing this, you know, the black agenda, and that's beautiful. But even when Martin Luther King marched, he had some white walking beside him and other nationalities, correct? So it's going to be, you're gonna have to work together. When I was reading about the Heritage Foundation, as you said, there were some things in there. Their whole premise was about certain objectives that were being placed upon the American people. Some bio stuff, if you want to say, some things that is taking them away from traditional church, traditional living. And because of that, they need to put people in here to try to figure out how can we get back to some of these places, because we are getting to a place where we don't have any control.
Right.
You know?
That's it.
And some of our black organizations, like you said, NAACP, I done been over there and asked them to help me, and they just, you know, I wish I could, but you know, I really can't. And I have not yet had any kind of nothing from them to help me to get a law change or to go to talk to somebody and say, hey, you know what, this ain't right. Well, you know, they got too much money. What you mean they got too much money? The other side. That's it. So the goal is to look into these documents and find what truly fits. But again, we have just a few people in this room.
Come on.
And discernment is not given to everybody. And that's something that's a total different beast. You really have to get past the surface. And you got to start looking. I'm a science teacher by heart, so I'm deep. I'm not trying to find out how you gave me the answer. I want to know what caused this to, you know, kind of, what's all this all have to do with one another? Everybody doesn't think like that. But I'm looking at these people in this room, and apparently you all have the same mindset. You're thinking.
Right.
I didn't see anybody here shaking their head when they were talking about me when I said Trump and didn't go cuckoo. You know, want to beat me up and, you know, call me out my name and all kinds of crazy stuff. Bless your holy name. You know, so this is what I'm saying to you. You should be able to conversate with me and listen to what I have to say, because Martin Luther King said at some point in time, somebody is going to get what? Direct action. January 6th was direct action to a voice that's not being heard. Ain't nobody listening. Nobody want to hear what you have to say. And when you start not listening to people, this is what you're gonna get. So what we're getting right now is just the fact that you have a problem, right? You have a concern. You are angry because nobody's listening. And you have a legitimate concern that you need to have addressed. And somebody that sits in our legislative body should be able to handle your complaint and put you on the right track. But not if they all part of Biden, you know, or all part of Trump or Abbott and whoever. There has to be. But I do see one thing, and I do see exposure, and I do see some changes. Some people are going down. And it may not be us, but it may be this plan. And you're gonna have to accept it and embrace that the exposure came and that you actually see it. Because everything that we're seeing now was undercover. I don't know, I told him, watch The Family. If you've never seen the little documentary on Netflix, it's called The Family. You'll get a real understanding of where we are right now.
For the most part, because the Fair Foundation is a very polarizing organization. What it's supposed to be at the time where I joined the fellowship, there was a Black executive director who was a handful of them, and he really spoke to the fact that the Fair Foundation was focused on free enterprise, limited government, individual freedom, traditional American values, and a strong national defense, and trying to stick to those core tenets versus the political policies that are coming out of it. Get people out of focus of the actual nuts and bolts of the issue. And I'm glad that it was a very practical response to something that I think is, to me, the overarching conversation, or a big part of the overarching conversation that we're having today is really organizing so that our interests are not overshadowed in these bigger conversations.
But to the point that he was asking, what should respond to, and you say your fellow.
Yeah, someone all over there.
So let me put it in perspective. When we're putting together an independent coalition party, part of this team has to have a type of Heritage Foundation is that type of, like these white folks have hundreds of big things, right? So to answer your question, you need to partnership with somebody, and if you want, because you're already in the thinking game, what we don't have for grassroots people is a grassroots type of think tank. You got sellout and UND, kind of sort of think tanks. So that is sponsored by the white think tank. We don't have hybrid component of grassroots. So that's where you need to be able to combine and come say, hey, somebody, this is what I can pay to pay. We can bring, I got some legitimate grassroots hybrids that are thinkers and they got skills in X, Y, and Z. And that component needs to be a part of it. Because we gotta have people who are your advocates, you gotta have people who are advocates, you gotta have people who are lobbyists. The advocates and the lobbyists are very similar, but advocates are those that act to issues, and advocates and lobbyists actually push issues, whether they're in local, state, or federal government. But you gotta have people who are not seen, who are actually setting the agendas for the policies that they're talking about. You don't have that anywhere in the United States or African Senate. And that's the piece that, like I said, went back to the 60s, the Panthers, they didn't understand it. It took the Black Panthers almost 10 years to figure out that you can't go and agitate. You gotta create policy. And by the time they figured it out, they got one tool, but read their information when they ran for office. I still ran for office in like 72 or something, 73, and the 90 round for city council. But it was too late by that time. They had already been infiltrated and whatnot. And so that's my recommendation, is to get to somebody and say, hey, I got some young folks, legitimate, because you got to be big, that want to do the big thing.
And we think about keep in mind, our food truck left, because we didn't have enough people, because lunch taking that long, so. Keep in mind.
Watch smell sweet down here, like cologne or perfume.
So I was just thinking about what Brother Craig was saying. It sounds like building some sort of nation within a nation, right? So what the Heritage Foundation and ALEC and all of these different conservative groups have been doing for a very long time. One of the monikers that they always use is self-government.
Yeah.
So Black people are gonna have, that's like a mind shift for us, because when we came out of Jim Crow,
Yeah.
and Martin Luther King had his little group together. They were engaging with the federal government, and they were looking for help. They were looking for protection, and it was rightfully so that they should have, because of what we have been going through, right? So what Alec and these people have always been wanting to do is get back to that piece of self-government. Why? Because it is a foundational piece of the Constitution. They're not playing when it comes to that Constitution, and they feel like the Democrats are always trying to pull the government down and weigh it down with the weight of the people, and they just don't, philosophically, they just don't agree with that. They feel like government is just supposed to be there to kind of like, you know, do this and take care of this little part and organize this, but it's not, the people are supposed to be free. And in order for you to really be free, you gotta build your own. You gotta build. So instead of us saying, oh, well, let me go downtown and go to the federal building, or let me go on downtown to the this, or go downtown to the that, see, oh, what kind of programs they got. What they want us to do is do what we had when we had Black Wall Street. They want us, or when we had Lions Avenue, right? And Emancipation Avenue, they want us to have our own institution, and those institutions, especially our 501c3s, right? Our businesses can give money back, and our church and to the churches, so that you can be self-sufficient. So when the poor needs help, they're looking for you to send the poor to the church or to the 501c3. They're not looking for you to send the poor down to the food stamp office. That's just how they thinking about it. So, right, you see?
So everybody, can you say Deirdre hand, please?
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to give our third solution after every speaker, Q&A solution, because we're not just here to talk, I want to give solutions. The first solution is understanding the 6 pillars of empowerment. Second solution is understanding grassroots politics. Third solution, become a member. We can't exist in a capitalistic society with no capital. Everything that we've said we need to do, and everything we're going to say that we need to do, we can't do with no money. So we need people to become members. Our annual membership fee is $65 for a year, $5 a month. You can't go to Starbucks and get a drink for that $5. So it's not a lot of money. So I'm gonna give you 10 reasons real quick, then we're gonna break for lunch as to why you need to become a member with the Growth of Care Alliance and every single thing that we're doing. Because again, we're not just talking, we're giving solutions on the ground movement. Number one, our goal is training our people to run cities, period. Like Brother Craig said, you're not gonna hear anybody, nobody, no organization, no speaker, nobody's talking about getting grassroots people organized to run cities. That's our number one goal. Number two, we mobilize and organize the community for local political information, access, and power. Like Brother Craig said, all politics is local. We don't have local power. Checkmate. Reason number three, our political strategy, independent. We're independent. Why? Because Sister Deirdre has proven, if you pay attention, two sides of the same coin. They got tentacles and everything. So we got to be tentacle free. The only way to be tentacle free is to be independent of tentacles. Number four, every event we host, I want you guys to just think about the level of speaking that you've heard so far. And we only got the 3, we got 6 more. This is a Juneteenth event, but who's doing Juneteenth like this? So every event we host is about mobilizing, organizing, informing, educating, and activating our people to do something. Because as all the speakers have said, the other side is doing. They don't care about your pain, they don't care about your suffering, they don't care about your tears, they don't care about your politics. They care about their agenda. And what Sister Regina said is that we can use what they're doing for the parts that fit us, but we can't expect them to do all the work for us. Like she said, but we work on writing for you. What do you expect? Of course it's not gonna write it for you. It doesn't have for you. So we gotta make sure that the events that we have we let people know about the events and we show up with the understanding that there's never gonna be a lot of people. But we don't want a lot of people. We don't need a lot of people. We need people who are serious. I remind people that Jesus only had 12. That brother was awesome. The fifth reason, we're building community teams for a greater voice in every community affair. So we got to have teams of Black people who are willing to knock on every door, have a conversation with every person that answers the door. If a Black hand opens that door, find out who's behind that door, and build camaraderie. We gotta have a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats assessment based on every zip code where we exist. Because we got to know what's going on in that zip code so we can answer what's going on, use the strengths, and eliminate the weaknesses and the threats. The sixth reason we need you to become a member is that we are going to identify, we've already started identifying opportunities that already exist in spaces where we live so we can take advantage of those opportunities. Nobody's going to give them to you. People always talk about how much money flows through Black and brown communities, but nobody's talking about how to stop it and keep it. We want to focus on the stoppage and the keeping because nobody's going to pay us to be free. Seventh reason, we're giving ownership to the community to be a part of what we're building. We want to have opportunities whereby anyone who's a part of what we're doing, they get an ownership stake, like a stock. In anything that we do that's bringing money, opportunities, a life to the community, they get a piece of that with a check because they are part of what we're building. We got to give ownership back to the community. The eighth reason we want you to become an active member, a supporting member of our organization, is that we're building strategic alliances with every entity that's open to that alliance. And we're identifying the predators who aren't open so we can remove them from the community. Like Sister Deirdre said, they're everywhere. And they're everywhere on purpose. We got to identify where they are so we can remove them because they're predators on multiple levels. Just because they look like us don't mean that they are us. So the young brother said that we have a Black person in the Heritage Foundation. We got to understand that there's a difference between melanated and Black. Not the same thing. We're like Chris Rock. We love Black people. Hate niggas. Two different groups. And the last reason we need you to become an active supporting member at $65 a year of this organization is that, so that's two reasons. We're building, like Brother Craig said, we're building partnerships with the HBCUs locally and nationally, because that's where our intelligentsia resides. And lastly, every single thing we do is for naught if we're not training the youth to take our place. Like Brother Craig said, our youth program is the largest international. If you are a teacher, if you work with children, if you're an educator, whatever, we got to get dads on duty in your school because it connects to the liberation struggle to be empowered and to be free. If we're not training our children to run cities, we're wasting time. Time we don't have. Everything you're hearing today, everything I've said, everything you're going to hear, melanated organizations are talking about. Like she said, she went to the NAACP. How long they been? Okay. How long they been around? So we got to get real with the reality as it relates to what it means to be Black, brown, and grassroots poor, and we got to mobilize and organize. So with that, we're going to break for lunch for an hour. We'll be back on the Zoom Live, the Facebook Live in an hour. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you now.